and welcome to the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Mulholland. Let's get into the show. Hello, everyone. What is up? I am coming with you live. Well, I was live when I recorded this, but I'm okay. I'm doing 2 podcasts today. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say, and I'm drinking some cacao, and I want to make you be fulfilled by life again. And so this word fulfillment and being fulfilled by life has just felt very loud to me these past few weeks because I'm starting to feel fulfilled by life again. Okay, and that comes from a few months or years of being very unfulfilled. And so I'm feeling great again, and I want to inspire you to feel fulfilled by your life again. And so I'm just going to, story time and explain or share what's kind of been rooted in that and how this can benefit you in making you feel fulfilled by life again, because why else would we come here? And I've been at the place where I've been in the pits of darkness, the pits of Hades, and I felt lost. And you can go back to the beginning of this podcast, and I just was confused and I didn't feel fulfilled. And how I've found my fulfilledness again is I looked back and I saw, when was I feeling my most fulfilled in my life? And I saw what I was doing, and so I just started doing that shit again. And lo and behold, I'm fulfilled. And if you've never had that feeling or experience, I hope this inspires you to go find some fulfilling experiences, because at the end of the day, we can only fulfill our own cup. And trust me, our friends are there when we need them, or our partner, our spouse. Like, they can fill us up when we're feeling empty. But if you're constantly seeking external fulfillment, it's not going to be as sustainable. And I really want to set a foundation of sustainability and inspire you to really just fill your own gosh darn cup and live life to the fulfillest. Okay? It's just so loud in my life right now that my job is to make people fall in love with life again. And for me, that has taken a lot of not loving life to find that route. And so now that I do love my life again, I want to share it, because I really I care. I care deeply, but there's only so much I can give. And if something I say makes one person happy, I can die happy, okay? And if that one person is only me, I think I'm okay with that. And I've really come to this feeling of resonance that, and I've always felt this, that, I'm here to heal my family's lineage, okay? I think every single person on this earth is here to, heal ancestral trauma and transmute light into dark and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if I'm only helping myself, I'm actually not just helping myself, I'm helping my entire lineage and all my ancestors. And so again, if I am making this podcast solely for me and that's all it helps, then God forbid I can die happy. I don't know if I use that term correctly, but I'm just going to keep it in. I read an article about neurodivergency last night, and I think that makes sense, but that's the last time I'm going to call myself neurodivergent, because it's been less than 24 hours, and I think I've already called myself that 4 times, and so I'm going to stop now. No neurodivergence in my lineage, but I used to put so much pressure on myself, which left me super unfulfilled, that I have to make this big impact, this global impact. And if you look at my astrology chart, yes, it's very clear that I am here to make a global impact. But at the same time, if I'm putting pressure on myself and feeling unfulfilled by it, what the fuck is the point? And so I've really stepped back on the pressure and have just come to compassion for who I am as a human. And I just want to love life again. And if I can inspire anyone to do that, then my job is done. And so, how do you find fulfillment in your life? Well, you gotta find clarity. And that clarity isn't gonna arrive by suffocating yourself in podcasts or courses and all that. And, you might get some golden nuggets. Like, of course, I hope you listen to podcasts. I'm here on a podcast. I hope you read Substack. I have a Substack. I hope you go on Instagram. I have an Instagram. I hope you read books. I have 2 of them. I hope you're a consumer of my content, but at the end of the day, I hope you're a consumer in your own content. And I've noticed these patterns where when I feel depressed or overstimulated, it's because I'm consuming too much. I mean, fuck, on Monday, I listened to like 3 hour, or Tuesday, sorry, just gotta get that date correctly. I listened to 3 hours of podcast because I was doing some work and I needed to dissociate a little bit. I really didn't want to do the work. I know it's not great, but I'm a human, okay? And so I just put podcasts on for 3 hours. You guys, I went to bed that night fucking just like pissed. I was pissed. I didn't want to do anything but consume more content because my brain was fried and I was unfulfilled. And if that wasn't a very loud siren in my face that I'm doing something wrong, then I don't know what is. I woke up the next day and I said, shit, okay, awareness check. There's nothing wrong with what I did. I'm not gonna, demonize it. But I'm just gonna say, okay, that wasn't the best decision that I could have done. Dissociating and then filling my brain with just constant talking. And so, podcasts and again, courses and books and all that are amazing tools, but they are not the way to live through life. Like, you shouldn't be this blank slate and just absorb yourself with external content. Like, to me, that sounds like a fucking zombie. And maybe that's where the zombie apocalypse is going, where everyone's just over-consuming. And it's kind of gross and disgusting. And it's about finding what fulfills you. And a lot of that time might come through silence and learning, well, what do you want to fill your brain with? Like, if you're constantly fulfilling your brain with external things, you're going to forget what you sound like. And that was me at the end of last year. And I remember recording a podcast and I immediately deleted it because I didn't sound like myself. And it made me want to throw up. And I said, fuck, I gotta detox. I gotta go to India, which I never actually went to India, but now it's a joke. Okay, I tried to go to India. If you don't know the India story, I tried to go to India and then I ended up spending a week in Chicago because of visa issues with who I was traveling with, and it was my brother. And he made it. He went to India, but it took him a week. And I was like capped out after 5 days. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going home and I'm finishing my book. But I stayed silent. And what I mean by silent is I didn't seek anything outside of me. Like, I pretended I was in India and had no service. And my friends were contacting my mom because they were like, where's Taylor? We haven't heard from her. And my mom, we were just laughing. I'm like, just tell them I'm on hiatus. And I was at home. But I was on a hiatus. Like, I wasn't talking to anyone. I wasn't, doing courses or podcasts or anything. I was just like with myself because I wanted to remember what I sounded like again. And, I don't think everyone needs to go to India or like go on this insane excursion, but you just need to stop listening to external things and just fucking listen to yourself for once. And like, if you're confused by your own thoughts, you just stay there. So another thing is confusion or indecisiveness used to rule my life. I still get phases of it, and it's when I know really well now how to like talk with it and take control of it, but it was one of my biggest learning lessons was dealing with my confusion. And I would always seek externally. I would go to a friend or go to a worker, like an energy worker, and be like, I don't know what to do. Or go to my mommy. And I was just letting other people run my life. I'm confused. You make the answer for me. And so what that quote unquote India trip taught me is just to find out why I'm confused in the first place. Why can't I make this decision? And what I have found is that the confusion was coming from, there are different ways that I look at it. One way could be, if I'm confused, it's a no. if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no, Like, I was confused because I really didn't want to do it, but I thought I should do it. And when you think you should do something, that's when you need to take a step back and feel what it feels like. And so usually when I'm confused or indecisive about something, it's a no, and it's really not meant for me. But really big decisions, like making the decision to move out on my own, like, I was confused because there's this version of me who I wanted to step into, but this old version of me kept coming up. So I had this battle, you could say ego versus higher self, where my ego was trying to keep me safe, trying to keep me to stay with my mommy, try to save money. This is what I was used to. It was habitual. It was comfortable. And then there's this other version of me, you could call that my higher self, or the next level I was stepping into. She really wanted her own place, but she maybe didn't think she deserved it enough. And so I was really confused. And instead of, going to a psychic or going to my mom, like, I had to make that decision myself. And I said, okay, what would the highest version of myself do in this situation? And I made the decision from there. And now I'm sitting in my own apartment and I am so, so happy. My soul can relax here. I got my period after it being gone for 6 months because my body just didn't feel safe. Now I can fucking like relax. When your body's relaxed, your soul can relax, and vice versa. Duality, they are not separate, people. I believe that our soul lives in our cells. Our cells are 99.9999999% energy, and I believe that 99.99999% energy is our soul, and then that 0.00001% is the matter, and that's human. That's being human. So you're a soul and you're a human, and it's just making decisions from a place for your highest good, your soul. Because if you walk around letting other people make decisions for you, you're going to be living someone else's life. And to me, that just doesn't sound great. It's not part of my soul contract, okay, of Aries Saturn. Like, I'm meant to break through this conditioning of thinking I need other people to run my life for me, and that's what I was doing. I literally, you guys, was a fucking puppet. I was letting other people run my life because I thought they were better than me. I felt so low in my self-worth that I didn't trust anything I could say, because through these experiences in the past, they were reminding me that, oh, what I have to say isn't important. But it was such a false narrative. When I looked at it different, I realized these experiences were empowering me to actually find my own voice and my own way of speaking and to make my own decisions. But I kept becoming a victim to my environment because I was letting my environment control my life. And if I know one thing, is that is not going to be the way I live anymore, because I realized that you can fully change your life and you can take control of your life again, but you have to break the habit of being yourself. Okay? Does that sound familiar? I know it's a really amazing book out there if you haven't heard of it. Break the Habit of Being Yourself by Daddy Joe Dispenza. It just talks about breaking the patterns of the past. And my past self let others make decisions for me. And I decided that that is not how I'm going to live anymore. I looked at my fucking astrology chart and I said, this is the time to change. Saturn is the deliverer of karmic lessons, and he is the daddy of the planets, okay? Capricorn's the daddy of the zodiac. Saturn is the daddy of the planets, and he's going to give you those hard lessons. And I was getting a spanking from Saturn. And Saturn was slapping me on my feet and saying, you go live your gosh darn life you were meant to live, and you do not let your environment control yourself. Okay? And how does this tie into fulfillment? Well, if you're a victim to your environment, you're going to let your environment fucking control your life. And that is going to leave you unfulfilled and empty. Because how I look at the word unfulfilled is I see a body and I see an empty body, and I see it just like giving and pouring and just giving its life force away to its external environment. And if you continue to do that, you're just like this walking zombie vessel. Like you're not fulfilled. You keep working a job you hate, or you keep, trying to give to this family to because you think your only worth is being a parent, and you keep just giving and giving and giving, and then at the end of your life, what are you? You're that dead body. Okay, what is your soul gonna do? It's gonna feel empty. You're probably gonna get diseases because your vessel is empty. And so that's how I see unfulfillment, is just when you're completely just like a victim to your environment. And I've been there. I know this because I've been there, and I see and I have the most sympathy for people. I want you to understand that I was not privileged. I was not given a privileged life. I look very privileged because I'm a white blonde girl. Okay. I lived in Paradise Valley. Like, I have a Prada bag now. Like, I grew up in Scottsdale, but you guys, I was on welfare. I was on food stamps. I had to steal food. I had to steal clothes from my friends. Like, I'm sorry, but like, that's the truth. Like, I didn't have, my family was, we were empty. You could say we were probably victims of our environment. And, I went through a lot of hardship of just always taking. I was always taking from others because I was so unfulfilled. And my family was just so unfulfilled, and we had to work horrible jobs we hated. We had, there was addiction in our family. Literally through our whole entire lineage, there's addiction. It's just a pattern. I think a lot of people have that. It's just part of being human in this generation. But we had to survive, okay? So there was a point in my life where I had to survive. And this later went on to my 20s when I was just like, oh, here's a good story is I went through menopause at 22 because my body was so empty and unfulfilled. I was just like, my life force was fucking kaput. It was gone because I was just like, work, 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 work. I worked at a strip club. I worked at a bar. I worked at a juice bar. I was dog sitting. I nannied. Like, I was doing all these jobs because I had to. I thought this is what taking care of yourself looked like. I thought that you need to make money. And when you make money, you have to work a job you hate. And it was just the story and the program running in my brain. And so I have a lot of sympathy for people who feel like they are in that life right now, because I was fucking there and I know how hard it is to get out of it. We live in a society that unfortunately doesn't teach us how to live in our soul path. It doesn't teach us how to fulfill ourselves. It teaches us how to like take away from ourselves. We have to give, 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 and there's nothing for us, and we have to work jobs we hate, and it's just like we become a victim to society, and I've been there. And so it's so much easier said than done, and it's taken me so many years. I've been on this journey for 12 years, and it's taken me a long time to rewire my brain and to break this habit of being this old self of the victim. And so I have a lot of compassion for everyone. And so if you are in a space where you hate your job or you feel unfulfilled by life, like, I really, like, I'm sitting here with you, and I'm like, I want to hold your hand in this. And I want to tell you that you can fucking change, but you got to do the work. And the work can be fun. That's another thing I hear falsely as is like, oh, following your soul path, like, it's miserable, like, it's it's gonna suck and it's gonna be a lot of hard work. Yeah, or it can be beautiful, and you can say, you know what, I can do it in an alchemical process, and I can do that in a slow process. And for me, it's taken a little bit of a slower time because, again, it's Taurus stellium. Like, I moved through this world pretty slow. And that's probably why I was really bad at school, is because, the school program really wasn't designed for slow learners and thinkers. And so it's taken me quite a long time to grasp these concepts of how to actually change your life. And so I do see very clearly how you can change your life, but it sometimes isn't an overnight process. But if you are someone who is unfulfilled or stressed or literally hates their life, like, I want to tell you, it does get better. And I have tears in I feel the tears coming in my eyes because I've been there. And like, I want to be this light in this world, and I want to give you light, because life can feel so hopeless. But that hopelessness is not you. It is everything around you teaching you how to become a better person. And I can say I'm a damn good better person because of the shit I went through in this life, and I really want to be an inspiration for you to find what fulfills you. And it's not going to look the same as everyone, and that's why you can't keep suffocating yourself in other people's stories. I've tried this, you guys. I really have, and it doesn't work. And I'm reminded over and over again how it's not working. And, for the longest time, and, this still could be a path for me, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted my own business and I wanted to have a team under me. And I woke up one day and I said, oh, Jesus Christ, that sounds like a lot of work. Ew, like that sounds stressful to me. But I was looking at these people that I looked up to, and I saw the impact they were making in this world. And I saw how hard they worked, and I thought that's what I wanted. Do I have the capacity for that? Probably. Do I have the knowledge for that? Yes, I know I do. But is that my path? I don't know yet. It could be. I could have my own bajillion-dollar business and have a team under me. But right now in my life, I realized I was putting so much pressure on myself to create that. And I stepped back and I said, what is fulfilling to Taylor? Freedom. And I looked and I said, I have the most freedom out of anyone I fucking know. As long as I've got a roof over my head and food, and I have time to make my silly little videos and write every day, I am the happiest person ever. And I realized I was living that life, but I was so confused by what everyone else was doing around me. It was confusing my own heart's desire. And I realized, oh shit, I gotta stop suffocating myself in other people's lives. And, I do have an open headspace in human design. I think that's what's open, or an open Agni. I don't know. So I absorb. It makes me a very great empath and intuitive, but I absorb other people's ideas and thoughts super easily. And so even subconsciously, someone could be thinking something and then I'll think of it and then I'll think that's who I am in my life. And so I tried to adopt this hustle culture, and I'm just wait a second, Taylor, you are not meant to hustle. What hustle does is it burns you out and it leaves you unfulfilled. And I'm all about a fulfilled life. And again, astrology, I'm not succumbing to my astrology chart, but it just is a great guide to see that I'm very intentional and I'm very slow with how I move through this world. So it's not going to be like a rocket ship. Some people literally fucking blast off in business and it's oh shit, they know what the fuck they're doing. Okay. And I love that for them, but it's not for me. Taurus Mars, I'm very intentional and slow, and it's got to be beautiful along the way. And I have Cancer rising. I am meant to do things through a Cancer lens. It's slow and intentional. It's water. My Aries moon makes me super fucking passionate. So whatever I do, I'm going to be fire-headed in my heart, but I have to weave in the water. I have to weave in this earth. I have to weave in all the elements to make it sustainable. Because if I lead with this fiery heart-headed passion, I'm going to leave burnt out. And so I think the key to living a fulfilling life is finding what fulfills you and not what other people are doing. And it sometimes takes some trial and error. It takes inspiration. If you look at kids learning and doing things through life, our kids can be our biggest teachers. I believe animals too, is they look at others and they see what they're doing and then they try it. They try it, and if it works, they keep doing it. And if it doesn't, they move on. And it's not going to be, maybe it is immediate, okay? Maybe right away that's not going to work for me. Or if it's a little uncomfortable at first, maybe keep trying. It's breath work or tapping or those things that bring up uncomfortable emotions. We can sometimes get confused oh, it's not meant for me. But maybe it's meant to push you a little bit. Because on the other side of uncomfortableness is, a whole different side of things. You could say freedom. You could say relief. I know a lot of my breath work or even physical body work sessions, it takes a lot of uncomfortable movements or a lot of uncomfortable feelings to actually transmute those emotions for something to come through on the other side. Just, taking it back to building a fulfilling life. It's like, do the things that fill up your cup. And I do think it's putting yourself first. And, this is it's all about balance. So this is such a, not touchy subject, but there's just so much disillusion or like distortment. That's the word I want. It's very distorted, this balance of putting yourself first, because a lot of people could look at that and say you're being selfish. It's very selfish of you to put yourself first. But then on the other side, you could see how it's like, I just made an Instagram story today. It's like when you're constantly overpouring, like there's nothing left in your cup. And so you want to take from others and it creates this imbalance. Does that make sense? When you're like constantly giving and giving and giving and giving, and then you're left empty. And then it's like, oh, well, there's an unbalance in me. So I need to take, I need to steal. And like, dude, I've been there. Like me in high school, shit. I was drained as a fucking kid. And so I would steal food, Well, I was just trying to survive, okay? Maybe high school Taylor isn't a good example, but like, I just was always like, I felt empty. And so I would try to fulfill myself with food addiction. I never was a substance abuser, but I was an herbal substance abuser. I would definitely use a lot of herbs or tinctures that would make me feel a certain way because I felt unfulfilled. Because I was giving and giving and giving and giving. Or I would go and get IVs and go and get all these treatments because I just felt so unfulfilled. Because I kept giving, and it's this unbalance. And, if you're unbalanced, there's something else. You heard of the butterfly effect. There's something else out there that's unbalanced. And so the more balance we create within ourselves, the more coherence this world is going to be in. And I think that is the greatest teacher in life. If we could just take care of ourselves and thrive or create, if we can just make ourselves survive, then other people can help us thrive. Or if we can just continue to fill our own cup, then this world would continue to fill their own cup. It's like there's so much imbalance in the world is because there's so much imbalance in our bodies. And so my goal is to teach balance, to teach polarity. And polarity has been my biggest teacher in this life. And so I've been in the pits of hell, and I've also been in the trees of heaven. Roots go deeper, tree goes higher. And so for you, what I'm inspiring you or recommending you to do to find fulfillment is like, what are the things that make you happy? Okay? I don't want you, or you know what? No, go do whatever you want. You can look and see what other things are making people happy, but ask yourself if it truly makes you happy. If all your friends are happy playing pickleball and you think you're going to be happy playing pickleball, and you try pickleball, and you end up hating pickleball, but you continue to play pickleball because it makes all your friends happy, and it thinks you think it's making you happy, but really it's not. You gotta change and find something else, okay? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, for the longest time, I thought having a fulfilling business, which again, I'm not cutting it off for me. I might have that one day, but like, I thought that would make me feel fulfilled. But right now in my life, I'm like, what is fulfilling me is writing every fucking day. Waking up whenever I want and writing every day. And if I am taken care of through dog sitting or modeling, that's my two form of incomes right now, or babysitting, if I am taken care of at the bare minimum, like I am happy and I am fulfilled, and I can create higher desires from there, from that fulfilled place. But if I'm constantly like pouring out all this energy and working on fulfilling jobs just to get a break, it's like, it's going to leave me empty. And so, again, like I have sympathy for everyone. If you're in like an unfulfilling job or you feel unfulfilled in life, it's just starting at a micro level. I'm holding your hand in this, okay? I'm a really nice coach. I'm going to hold your hand in this. And so we're going to bring up neuroplasticity again, and we're going to bring up that molding in your brain. And I'm going to say, okay, if you are unfulfilled right now, I want you to prove to yourself or create little reminders of how you actually are fulfilling your life in the micro moments. And so you're reminding yourself, you're reprogramming your brain, and you're creating this frequency of fulfillment by clocking in these micro tiny moments that is then going to ricochet into bigger fulfillment, because you're going to be attracting more fulfilled opportunities. But you have to start at a micro level. And this can be as simple as saying, okay, how did I fill my cup up today? Oh, I literally filled up my water. I literally filled up a cup of coffee because coffee makes me happy in the morning, and this is what fulfills me. And you take it a step further and you say, okay, I'm going to take 1 minute to myself. I'm going to sit. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to really enjoy and smell and inhale this coffee or this meal. And I'm going to take a moment to say, I am fulfilling myself right now by taking a moment for myself out of my busy ass day. I'm taking a meal for myself. I'm feeding myself. I'm fulfilling myself. And you get down to the nitty gritty, and you just constantly like create these little micro vibrations that are gonna, again, like create like those bigger vibrations. And for a few examples, is what fulfills me is my meditations. I returned to my meditations. I personally like guided and also silent. Okay, that's what fulfills me. It might not be for everyone. I know you might be rolling your eyes. Oh, the meditation thing. Okay, well, you know what meditation does for me is it puts me in a frequency. And it silences out everything else, and it connects me to my heart. To me, that's a fulfilling life. And so I'm going to do that every day. Other ways is I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of everything I drink and eat, okay? I'm going to sit and I'm going to smell what I'm eating. I'm going to take a moment to look at actually what I'm feeding myself. I'm going to hold my cup of hot coffee or tonic or cacao, and I'm going to just love it, and I'm going to infuse it with the utmost love and respect for my body, for my life. And I'm going to say, oh my gosh, I'm fulfilling my life by nourishing myself right now. If you do that 3, 4, or 5 times a day, depending how much you eat, think about how that adds up. Quite a bit, if you ask me. Other ways I fulfill myself. I work out every day. That's something and okay, I already hear your thoughts. Oh my God, who has time for all of this? Who has, she doesn't have kids. She doesn't have a real job. No, you're right, I don't. But I'm giving you literally micro moments, you guys. I've created this fucking life of freedom because I put in the work. I was still doing my meditations. I was still taking a moment to absorb my food through my eyeballs first. I was still taking a moment to work out even when I was working 12-hour days, okay? I did have that past. And it's the little tiny moments every day that are going to make it change. It's not going to be overnight. You're all not going to be a dog sitter tomorrow who has her own podcast and is writing books. Shit. Your life's going to look different. But if you keep succumbing to being a victim of your environment, you're never going to change. And so if I'm triggering you a little bit, then guess what? That's the perfect time to change. And so, again, the micro moments add up, you guys. Again, I was meditating every fucking day. I woke up an hour early. My meditations are an hour long. If I can do an hour-long meditation every day, I'm literally I can do whatever I want. I could go to war. Okay, I'm high as a kite. If you can only get 5-10 minutes in, or if meditation isn't for you, go find what works. But you have to commit to yourself. You are the only one who is going to change your life. The money, the job, the career, it's not going to do it for you. This is the art of fulfillment. This is what is going to fulfill your life, is you. So you have to make every single day as abundant and fulfilled as you can from a microcosmic level. And even if you have to start at 1% every day, next week it's 2%, and it adds up. And so it's creating your internal environment of fulfilled, of love, of abundance that is going to reflect in your external environment. That's how you manifest. This is a fucking manifestation podcast at this point, but I want to get back to how you can fulfill your life. Okay, so you're doing micro moments. Think of just everything you do every day and just taking gratitude or just taking a second to fucking pause and realize, like, I am doing this for myself. Before you make your child's meal, take a sip of water. Okay? Tell yourself that I'm taking care of myself right now by drinking water before I take care of someone else. Before you feed your cats, feed yourself first. They can wait. Okay, maybe they can't wait. I've had cats, they can't wait. But it's really fulfilling your own cup. Other ways I do that, oh yeah, we back to the working out. I work out every day, okay? I like to work out for an hour. I like to lift weights, and then I like to get my steps in. And when I work out, I've made this commitment where I don't text anyone. You know, granted, I'll break every once in a while, and like, if I'm like in a conversation, or usually I wait till after. Usually I just like to give 1 hour a day to myself, and I work out in like silence, or I put music on. Or if I'm really interested in like a topic, I'll listen to a podcast or something, but I try not to talk to anyone. Okay, that time is for me. Or when I'm on my walks in nature, or even on the treadmill, I'm just like, okay, tailor time. Usually in my walks is when I do my tapping, my EFT tapping, which has been a fucking game changer. If you've tried it and you don't like it, just try it again. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but that's something that's really helped me at like a somatic layer. So I'll work out every day, and that's it, you guys. If I can do my meditations, if I can eat nourishing food, if I can take a moment to sit down and like enjoy a meal, and 3, if I can work out for just an hour minimum, 45 minutes minimum a day, I am living a fulfilled and happy life. And then whatever happens in between that is like, it's whatever, you know? Like, do I have to go to work to pay my bills? Do I have to dog sit to pay my bills? You know, like, we have to do the human things. But there's 24 hours in a day. Other things that could fulfill you: a bath, a shower. Showers are so wasted on the time that can happen in the shower. Like, the impacts of a shower, people really underestimate it. Like, if you shower every day and you're not like realizing how water is cleansing, your water absorbs how you're talking to it. There's that one guy, the Emoto guy, I forget his name, but he did like an experiment on water and how it transmuted, this is my second podcast of the day. My brain's getting tired. My poor neurodivergent brain. He talks about how you can program water with the frequencies. And so if you're I hope you're taking short showers. Okay, I'm going to say that. I love Mother Earth. Please don't waste her water. Okay, hopefully you're taking short showers, but even in that short shower, 1 minute, really, like, what else are you doing? Like, I don't understand people who take long showers. What are you doing? Like, I take baths, so, you know, okay, that is a big waste of water, but like, I'm very like intentional with it. But anyways, you're showering, okay? Just take a moment. How is this water cleansing you? Thank your water, speak to your water. Okay, that will take you far. That's taking a moment for yourself. It's just the simple things. Brushing your teeth. Clock that shit in, bitch. You're taking care of your teeth, you're taking care of yourself. Every time you wash your face, you brush your hair. Anytime you are literally doing something for yourself, just remind yourself, I'm fulfilling my cup. And then maybe, okay, here, I'm going to push you a little bit. 1 date a week. I don't care what that looks like. This is your homework. And I need you to do this, okay? I can already hear you guys saying you're going to do this, and then you don't do it. I need you to make a note in your gosh darn phone, or message me on Instagram and say, I'm going to make a date with myself. Like, you have to commit. I already know there's going to be people out there that are going to say, I'm going to do this for myself, and then they don't do it. And so I'm calling you out now, and I want you to prove me wrong, but just 1 day a week. I don't care if that's, okay, actually, no, I do care. An hour. 1 hour. You guys, this is not that hard. How many hours in a week are there? There's a lot of hours in a week. 1 day a week for 1 hour. I want you to be with yourself. I want you to take yourself on a date. And I'm going to do this too. For me, I love coffee dates. I love to go sit at a cafe, drink a coffee, and write. Okay, that's what I like to do. Or I like to get a drink and go on a walk. That could be a date. I do that kind of often though, so I'm gonna really challenge myself a bit in this, okay? So I'm gonna go like do an actual date. And so I'm curious what your dates look like. Maybe it could be you invest in a workout class or you go to a dance class. It's going out and doing something for yourself by yourself and taking a break from your phone. If you like to listen to a podcast or something, like, no, I'm gonna make this date like just you, okay? This is the homework. Just you. You can dress up if you like. I personally like to just wear comfies and look dirty. That's how I feel my best, is when I'm all natural. I shower every day. But I like to be myself. And I like to be comfy, and so I'm gonna go be comfy and take myself on a date and go sit at a coffee shop or go walk around and just take an hour off my phone, maybe get something yummy. And you guys, this is the artist's date. If you read the book The Artist's Way, this is what she recommends, and it fucking works. And so this is your homework for how to build a fulfilling life, is to just spend 1 hour a week with yourself, by yourself, with nothing, listening to nothing. That might sound easy, but for people who are always listening to music or podcasts, like, just listen to the birds. Okay, that's the only exception, is if you're listening to animals. But just be by yourself, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Okay? You don't even have to buy anything. Just go walk around and like be on a date with yourself. But if you want to get a treat, like, go treat yourself. So that's that. I'm gonna end it there because I need to go fulfill my own cup, and by that I need to rest my brain. Okay. If I can leave you with anything, it's that I believe we are all here to walk each other home, but we've got to walk ourselves home first, and that's fulfilling your own cup. And so if you're here, I adore you. We're reaching our 1 month anniversary next month in August. Or 1 month, 1 year, baby. 1 year anniversary of the Spiritually Fucked podcast. I'd love for you to share your experience, and if you've been here from the beginning or if you're new here, let me know. And what do you like? Podcast, YouTube? I'm on iHeartRadio if you haven't noticed. Like, I'm on all the platforms, even Spotify. Um, so yeah, just thanks so much, and I adore you, and I really just want you to live the best life ever. Okay? Goodbye.